This is Water Elemental. And we're here to talk about the League of Legends. An ongoing podcast dedicated to the League of Legends and all things about it.
This wasn't terrible. I would have done it a little bit differently. I would have had more explosions. Namely, that was the first thing I noticed. I was like, where are the explosions?
I don't think people would have seen the explosions.
You know what? I don't think anyone's going to see what happens to you behind this microphone when I swing an axe and chop your head off.
Touché. So, we are here to talk about, what do we have this week for us?
Well, there's a couple of things. We're going to review the news, and of course, Trundle. It's going to be an interesting week for us. First thing I want to go over is Trundle, obviously. I'm sure that's the first thing you want us to go over. Trundle, I've been hearing a lot about him. I've been playing with him. And you know what the number one thing I've heard? Not that he's overpowered.
Not that he's
underpowered. Nothing like that. It's that he's genuinely fun to play.
This is the first champion in a while where he has been genuinely fun. Not because he was overpowered to begin with.
Well, I wouldn't say that. A lot of people enjoyed LeBlanc. A lot of people enjoyed Sona.
I enjoyed LeBlanc because she was overpowered.
But no one seems to have a beef with this guy. Everyone's like, oh no, he's great, he's not too terrible. Sometimes some people are getting a little annoyed with his pillar, but I think that's the point. And of course, his ultimate. So let's run over this guy. What do we got? His first ability is what was considered his chaser. Gives him that attack power boost or attack damage boost, and gives him a little bit of a lunge, a little bit of damage. It's not horribly strong. Are you noticing a major difference, or is it just mostly the attack damage that makes it awesome?
It has like a slow lunge. You don't really want to depend on it, but sometimes it can help you catch up, depending if you can cover the gap. It has a really high scale to AP, I've noticed. I don't know if that's just if I have a lot of runes in AD, but it gives you a lot of bonus attack damage.
And that's good. That's very good. I don't want to say, again, the lunge is not very long, but if you're pairing it up with a lizard buff, or let's say a frozen mallet, or a phage, or a trinity force, then I can imagine how it would be a very successful troll move. Next we have Contaminate. This is sort of his tanky DPS. Gives him that CC reduction, gives him attack speed, and gives him some attacks or some movement speed, as well as crowd control reduction. I kind of compared this when I first saw it. I was like, oh, that's burned ground that Lucifer had in Defense of the Ancients. And looking at it, that's exactly what it is. I mean, besides HP regen, it gives everything. Well, they didn't have crowd control reduction in Dota, but still. Small little area, I always enjoyed. I thought it was a cool skill. It kind of gave you like a little base. The cooldown, I don't want to say it's long, but it's medium range. Don't expect to always be in that area, and people are going to definitely try to kite you out of there. I've been playing a lot of mages this week against him. As soon as I see him drop Contaminate, the first thing I do is double back and try and get my CC off there, because if I'm trying to drop, a playpen as Veigar, and all of a sudden it's half duration because he's got Mercury Treads, it's not very good. So be sure you don't get kited, and if they do try and kite you out of it, make sure you exploit that and take advantage of your high movement speed and just try and punish them for trying to get you out of there.
Paired up, it doesn't work with Mercury Treads. I've kind of experimented towards it.
Really?
It's weird. Like, I've been exhausted, I've been slowed, I've had everything done to me. With the Contaminate, it doesn't seem like it's going away earlier.
Well, we'll have to test it for sure.
We'll have to do some science!
Science! And if you guys find that it does work, let us know. If you find that it doesn't work, let us know, because that saves me time.
And makes me need to redo my boots in every game.
Boots! Now, one thing I actually saw that was really, really effective, they were going dodge treads, and they were going defensive runes.
Really?
And so they would get the dodge proc, and he was running around his Contaminate area with about 510 movement speed, and just and I was just like, oh geez, could not get away from him. it was actually really ridiculous. If you're looking for a lot of move speed, dodge treads with the dodge proc from the masteries, it was really effective. Actually, he could not be juked.
Yeah. Next is Pillar of Filth. It's like the wall that a Navia has.
Aneva?
Aneva. I want to call her Articuno. That's what I know.
In the Navy. Really? Did you say Anavia? That's funny to me.
I never call her by her actual name. But it brings up the Pillar, which gives a slow to nearby units. That's great just as an initiator sometimes. That people are running away, and then boom, wall, and they're like, oh crap, I'm slowed, I can't get around it. Then you're right on their butt. It's great. I like Pillar of Filth. That's probably my favorite move.
Oh yeah, no, I like it because it's a lot of these moves are a definite throwback to Dota. Like Lucifer's Contaminate and Earthshaker's Pillar of Filth. It's not quite as long a range, it doesn't stun or deal damage, but it's more like Earthshaker's, long range attack than Aneva's Wall, because Aneva's Wall was kind of a delayed...
Because it had to expand before it could.
Yeah, whereas this is just boom, up in the air.
And it has an AoE slow around it. So if you put it in the middle of a lane, there's that whole area where they're slowed or they're blocked off. So
yeah, it's a lot like Lux's area effect slow. It can be used as an intimidation thing. It can be used to block off passageways. It can be used to break up an enemy hitting on your tower. There is a lot of utility in a area creation ability.
If you're playing with a Singed or a Poppy, it can kind of stop where you're going to head towards. If you know they're going to charge you or something, you can kind of anticipate it. Singe is going to throw you backwards. You put it behind you so it blocks you from going all the way around, giving you more of an advantage with the slow. I've noticed that works a lot, and with Poppy charging at you, you can kind of block her from charging. And
yeah, that's actually an interesting thing. Can you create that pillar, and then if Poppy charges someone into that, will she get the stun proc?
She does.
That's cool. Ooh, that's really cool.
Because it's counted as a piece of terrain.
Yeah.
And
no, I figured they would just have her like jerk around it really awkwardly, but no, she gets the stun. That's cool.
She gets the stun off it. It's very nice. But you got to be careful with it sometimes. If you're trying to break up things, sometimes they walk back. You put the pillar up, the pillar pops up, and it pushes them to the way they're heading towards.
Yeah. So
you got to be really careful. You don't screw your team over where it's like interruption pillar.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a lot like Earthshaker. A good Earthshaker could make the game hell on your opponents, and a bad Earthshaker would make the game hell on you. So just be careful with that pillar. Make sure you're using it properly. Kind of get a hold of the timing a little bit, and make sure you account for the range delay, because a lot of times people try and cast it out of range, and then they get the move to command, and then by that time it's there. So make sure you're casting it in range if you're doing precise timing. Yeah. And last but not least, the only thing people have really been disappointed with is Ultimate Agony. They say it doesn't last long enough. They say it's kind of lackluster. They say it's hard to use. I don't know.
Defensively, it's nice because you get the magic resist, you get the armor, and you get the health back. So when you're running away, you get all this defensive abilities, and it's a great initiator. But like you said, it doesn't last too long. It gives you that little bit of health back, buffer. But other than that, you really don't see a difference.
6 seconds is not terribly long, but because he has a small CC reduction, I can see how it might be a little bit better, just because he's not spending most of his time in that shutdown. You can get a little bit of damage, you can get a little bit of hits in while that's in, or get a little bit of time running away while he has increased survivability.
Yeah. His passive is just a normal, kill a unit, gain health, and, becomes 6% when he's 18, 2%. Other than that, it's an alright ability. But it's great for creeping, and it's great for, you're away, you're near a tower, and you can just heal up and jump back in.
Yes, the one thing I thought was interesting is that it's not units you kill, it's any unit that dies. So you can essentially kind of pull a Garen and creep out in the bush and just be like, units are dying.
Trollmacia!
Pretty much. It's funny to think about. But if you're paired with a strong laner who knows how to get last hits, or even someone like Karthus, or maybe a Mordekaiser who just burns through creeps.
You're going to benefit off of standing next to him.
So if you have a good last hitter, if you have a guy who kills a lot of creeps, you can be a little bit more aggressive because you know you're going to get a lot of health back very quickly. And that's really it. Post your builds, post your KDRs. If you got any good clips, you know, we're still accepting.
So, 1 to 10.
Oh, I will give him a 9. I'm really satisfied with how he turned out.
I'm going to give him our first 10. He's
your first 10?
My first 10.
I'm saving it for my first love.
Creepy. I'm giving him a 10 because he has the 3 things I care about. Playability, you know, just the way you play him, and just overall general fun. If he's really fun to play and you don't care if you're winning or losing with him, that's all that matters. Because I'm having fun with him even though I haven't won too many games because of different things.
Well, I'm going to give him a 9 because he has support, utility, and a lot of attack damage.
And interrupting pillar!
That's his support, essentially. It doesn't have to be, oh, you absorb damage. Support doesn't have to be about absorbing your heals. It just has to be about helping your team. And that's what that pillar is all about. Yep. So news this week. Of course, we got Trundle. Everyone knows about Trundle. In fact, I think we just talked about him for about 10 minutes. We have a couple of skin sales. We have Warrior Princess Sivir. Then, of course, we have another skin, which is actually really interesting. It's Angler Jax, which is actually is somewhat based on lore, if you guys are lore buffs out there. And then Royal Shaco. Royal Shaco is actually a high-res skin. It's pretty cheap, too. So if you're looking for something cheap for the now forlorn Shaco, check it out. Release notes. This was a patch I was really happy with. They're trying to move away from the AoE meta. Still haven't really done anything about tank DPS, which, it's alright. Champions like Trundle are really kind of helping with that. So we'll see how it goes in the next couple of weeks. But yes, a lot of champions got nerfed. Some of my guys, like Corki, no more invisibility detection. I was a little bit upset by that. But at the same time, I can kind of see why they did. And then another thing we got.
We have a really cool lore skin coming out. The slow and steady wins the race, the Uldur story.
Yes, the Uldur skin looks awesome. And I know a lot of people were upset with Riot Uldur, so I think this is a good kind of payoff for them.
He changes with the stances, which I think is really cool.
Well, he already did, but it was really kind of boring. So this will be a whole high-res friggin' I'm the Juggernaut.
If anybody's ever played World of Warcraft, it reminds me a lot of Zolomon. Just that whole area.
I've never played World of Warcraft. What are you talking about?
I know.
And then finally, the Noxus versus Ionia grudge match. This is going to be a live event. I'm a little disappointed. I'm not horribly disappointed, but I was really hoping for something more of the player base could participate in. And I understand they're taking submissions, but that doesn't mean that the whole player base is involved. Because people like me, just people like me who are either A, lazy, we're not going to fill out a whole submission being like, well, I've been playing for so long and my dad died in a coal mine to give me League of Legends. No, it's silly. I should just be able to be like, okay, cool little thing under practice or normal games. Let me play an Ionia versus Noxus match. That'd be cool. That would be really easy to do, I imagine.
It wouldn't be hard. All it would do is, they would just put, when you go collect your character screen, you would have normal game, practice game, or Noxus versus Ionia. It wouldn't be that hard to do.
Not terribly difficult. But, whatever. Maybe they'll do an old switcheroo on us. I doubt it, but whatever. I'm going to watch the live event anyway, because I want to see cool people play. And, that's really it. So, I don't know. What do you think? Do you think it's good that they're only having certain people play it? Do you think it's bad, or did you want to do that, or did you submit your thing and now you're the team leader for Ionia?
Represent Spazticgaming if you do.
Represent. And that's really it. They had the art spotlight, which was kind of cool. But other than that, it's a patch week, and it was mostly focused on Trundle. So there you go, guys. That's really all we have. So we're still looking for cool plays, cool kills, just anything like that. Send it to our email, spazticgaming@gmail.com. It's in the link below. We got some Facebook crap.
So this has been Water Elemental.
And this has been Axis.
See you next week, guys.